All right, so Seth Moulton just announced that he is going to be running for the presidency. Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton. So today we're going to be doing a prediction between Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton and President Donald Trump. So let's give Moulton all the states that he just get off the bat. You know, these are going to be safe states for Seth Moulton. Do, 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 do. Now let's give Donald Trump all the safe states. Wait, no, Texas isn't safe. Um, Now, oh, and then also Alaska is going to be safe for Donald Trump. Now, this, I think would be a closer election. I think mainly because I think this would be a closer election because not as many people know who Seth Moulton is. And Donald Trump is the incumbent president. Incumbent presidents do tend to get the advantage of the incumbency on their side. But at the same time, Seth Moulton, though he does lack name recognition, is a pretty attractive candidate. I'm pretty sure he's a U.S. war veteran. He's pretty young. He's considered a rising star in the Democratic Party. And I've watched him speak. He's a pretty good speaker. He's a pretty good speaker, but I think that ultimately, I think this is going to be a close race because of that, because of those factors. I don't think it's going to be a blowout for either side, but we'll see who wins in this video. So first of all, right off the bat, I think that, you know, I think that Nevada is probably leaning his way. No, not till. I think it's leaning his way. I think Minnesota's probably leaning Seth Moulton's way. And I think New Hampshire is probably leaning Seth Moulton's way. Again, these were states that went to Hillary Clinton in 2016. They were close, but they did ultimately go to Hillary Clinton in 2016. I don't really see this being a blowout for Seth Moulton. Again, I think if you get a really good candidate like Bernie Sanders, who has a lot of name recognition, I could instantly see a candidate like that making these states likely Democratic. But because these states are, how do I say it? Because Seth Moulton isn't the most well-known candidate, I do expect that they'll be at least relatively close, but I think ultimately Seth Moulton will have the advantage just because of precedent, just because these states have generally, even though they're sort of swing states, they have generally supported Democrats in the past, and I do think that that's going to ultimately be an advantage for Seth Moulton in the election, since he is a very safe candidate. I think I've said that I think it is unlikely that Donald Trump will get Michigan back again, or it's going to be hard. I haven't said it's unlikely, but I think it's going to be ultimately very hard for Donald Trump to win back Michigan, because he only won it by 11,000 votes in 2016. But I think some of the other states, like I think Ohio's probably likely for Trump. I think Nebraska second is probably likely for Trump, and I think Georgia is probably likely for Trump, and I think Texas is probably likely for Trump. I think that on the flip side, I think Colorado is becoming a more safely blue state. It's supporting more progressive candidates, supporting more progressive ideas. So it's getting to that point where I think a generic Democrat probably is going to win Colorado in 2020. Obviously, it's going to depend upon who that Democrat is, but I'd say generally a Democrat is probably going to win Colorado in 2020. Same thing with Virginia. Oh, not West Virginia, sorry. Virginia, just Virginia. I think that that's probably going to be a likely state. In terms of North Carolina, it's always close, but typically in presidential years it tends to break for the Republicans, so I'm going to give that to Donald Trump. Florida probably going to be competitive, almost certain to be competitive, but I think that it'll probably narrowly scratch by for Trump just because Republicans did very well in the 2018 midterms in Florida. So I think that's definitely going to help Donald Trump. I think Arizona is probably going to be lean Republican. I mean, we've discussed the possibility in the past of this state flipping. But I think ultimately Arizona's probably going to stay in Trump's column just because of precedent, and I don't think Moulton is a remarkable candidate. He's an okay candidate. In terms of Maine's 1st District, Trump won that by a big margin. At the same time, there was a Democrat that did win a House race. Jared Golden won a House race there in 2018. With all that being said, though, I do anticipate that this district will probably go back to Donald Trump, but it could always go back to Moulton, so I'm going to say that it's leaning in Donald Trump's favor. Same thing with Iowa. I'm going to lean that in Donald Trump's favor. So now it's a pretty close race. You can see Seth Moulton has 248. Donald Trump has 260. Pennsylvania, kind of in the Northeast, sort of. I think Seth Moulton definitely has a lot of Northeast. I'm going to actually move New Hampshire to likely Democratic just because I think he has a lot of Northeastern appeal. But in terms of Pennsylvania, I think the Northeastern appeal that Seth Moulton has could probably help him. Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh areas are probably going to help him. And I think that the Philly areas will help him. But I think he's an attractive candidate. Pennsylvania is always a hard state for Republicans. I'm going to give that one to Seth Moulton. I'm going to say that's tilting in the Democratic column. So this gives Donald Trump 260 electoral votes. It gives Seth Moulton 268. So I think it leaves it all down to Wisconsin. And I'm very doubtful that Moulton has a lot of populist appeal there. So I'm going to give this one to Donald Trump ultimately. So ultimately that would give Donald Trump 270. It gives Seth Moulton 268. This would narrowly reassure Donald Trump re-election to a second term. And I think that would also, I'm going to put this in likely Democratic column. But I think that this would ensure his re-election bid for another 4 years. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think Seth Moulton could beat Donald Trump in 2020? Let me know in the comment section below. And that's about it.